There have been a few reports saying that WWE is, well, being asked by Saudi Arabia to at the very least consider heading to Saudi Arabia for WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble. But the question is, should WWE actually go for it? Or should we remain in the United States? Or maybe even, and hear me out, we go to some place like Puerto Rico or France. I am your reigning defending undisputed VTuber World Champion Dojon Vaughn. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe if you like daily wrestling content, because we got that here. And on top of that, hey, keep your boy on Twitch because we got some wrestling content and a bit of variety as well. And you know what? Peep the other socials as well. The main YouTube, the Discord, the Twitter. And yeah, let's get into it. I want to start this off with the fact that, yes, Saudi Arabia shows have been getting better. But let's be real, it's mainly because of the booking, of which is like the normal WWE stuff in general. So I can't really say but so much when it comes to the show quality, because quite frankly, that's a non-factor. If you go to Saudi Arabia for WrestleMania, the quality of the show in terms of the card, I could imagine, would be on par, if not the exact same. Borderline identical to what we would have if it was not in Saudi. The main thing that we need to take into account with that of WrestleMania being in Saudi Arabia, and this should come as a no-brainer. As the fans, it's the fans. This is what my biggest qualm about going to Saudi Arabia for WrestleMania is the fact that a lot of these WWE pay-per-views in Saudi Arabia have not exactly wowed a lot of non-Saudi Arabian fans. Listening to them, they aren't exactly losing their minds like, say, a France crowd, or a Puerto Rican crowd, or even at times the UK crowd, where they will absolutely blow the roof off the building, if there is even a roof to begin with. Meanwhile, you'll have stuff like with Saudi Arabia where Kairi Sane will return, and they'll respond with dead silence, both because she's a woman, and because they just can't be bothered. That is not something you would want to have. That's not the energy you want to have for WrestleMania. And quite frankly, what I feel is hindering odds for Saudi Arabia the absolute most is, yeah, the crowds are not that receptive outside of a select few thing, that being the likes of a Goldberg or a Brock Lesnar or maybe a Roman Reigns. But outside of those, they're kind of lukewarm to dead silent. You don't want to have the women's side of things being received with dead silence, and other new stars you want to go ahead and build up on WrestleMania stage being received with lukewarm reactions. And ultimately, yeah, if it's not obvious, my answer is no. We should not ever go to Saudi Arabia for WrestleMania unless the crowds could go ahead and wake up. Hey, this weekend we're going to King of the Queen of the Ring for Saudi Arabia. Hopefully they will wake up and this will be the most liveliest Saudi Arabian crowd we will have. But quite frankly, I have a fair amount of doubts. Not to mention, this also does prove a bit difficult for some fans, as it's not exactly the peachiest idea trying to travel to Saudi Arabia. But I'm not going to get into the history and whatnot. But in general, the crowd factor is the biggest issue. And that's just for WrestleMania. The Royal Rumble, let me tell you, the Royal Rumble relies on a good crowd to make the show pretty entertaining. Along with the booking, obviously. The booking has to be good, otherwise it doesn't matter what kind of crowd you have, it's going to stink up the show. But quite frankly, Triple H can book a good Royal Rumble, but we're going to need a crowd that can actually be alive, otherwise it's going to feel akin to that of 2021's Royal Rumble, where Edge wins an amazing Rumble, Bianca wins one of the best women's Royal Rumbles, but the crowd is not receptive, although in this case scenario is because they had no crowd. They were just TV screens. That being said, should they just strictly remain to American crowds? No! If I'm being honest, and maybe this is partially because I've already gotten to see WrestleMania in person, which is one of my own life goals, I am 1,000,000% open to see WrestleMania outside of the US. That being said, I do feel like WWE should go ahead and over the next 1.5 to 2 years keep sampling these crowds, and whatever crowds consistently have the most lively reactions, lively fan bases, there is where you should have a WrestleMania. There is where you should have a Royal Rumble. Because a lively crowd elevates the show significantly. A casual B show that would be pretty alright, pretty okay, becomes absolutely amazing with a lively crowd. A 4 out of 5 star show becomes a 5 out of 5 star show if the crowd is absolutely going wild throughout it. Look at the Puerto Rican crowd for last year's Backlash. Look at the French crowd for this year's Backlash. If you're gonna have that kind of energy for a Royal Rumble, for a WrestleMania, all you have to do is just book the show quite well, and you have a history-making event. Period. So no questions. An absolutely masterclass of a show. And on top of that, if you do also set that precedent of, hey, the most liveliest crowds, and it's not even just specifically in America, or outside of America, I should say, but even inside of America, hey, if your crowd in your area is loud as all hell, and on top of that, obviously, if your country or state, quite frankly, has the money to pony up, then you can get a WrestleMania. And again, you have more incentive for crowds to get even louder than they already are, to react even more so than what they usually would. That being said, it's also important to make sure your crowds are reacting to good shows, to good events, to good matches. But still, just a little bit of a side note, also because we do have our random crowds where they will just sit there and go dead silent, or they'll be lukewarm at best, or they'll just go ahead and start cutting wrestlers off of what chance of being this kind of lackluster or disappointing. Which I would say, my own hot take, any crowd that proves to be a consistent stinker, I'd say skip that area for the next couple of years. Don't go back to there. Yeah, going back to the original question, should there be a WrestleMania or a Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia? Nah. Not until we start seeing the Saudi Arabia crowds go wild. But should we have a not Saudi Arabia. Hey, your boy can't English at times. Should we have a WrestleMania or Royal Rumble, or WrestleMania and Royal Rumble outside the US for a crowd that absolutely can go wild? Yes, we should. But that's just my thoughts. Y'all let me know y'all's down in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe while you're at it. And hey, I greatly appreciate every single one of y'all. See ya.